The Leprechaun of the Qu'Appelle Valley. There's an old story, one whispered among the oldest families of Lumsden, buried in half-forgotten journals, and passed down through nervous chuckles by those who claim their ancestors saw it. The tale is of a strange, sprightly creature, a leprechaun, who was said to have roamed the valley long before Lumsden bore its name. Unlike the cheery, mischievous Irish leprechauns of legend, this one was different. He was smaller, more wiry, dressed in a tattered brown coat rather than the familiar green, and his eyes held the weight of something far older than the settlers who came to claim the valley. Those who glimpsed him told wildly different stories. Some swore he had red eyes that glowed in the moonlight, while others described him as a mere shadow, vanishing before their very eyes. No one knows exactly how he arrived in the Qu'Appelle Valley, but some believe he stowed away on a ship from Ireland, hidden in the belongings of a superstitious settler. The man, whose name has been lost to time, was said to be a wandering blacksmith from Kilkenny, fleeing famine and seeking a fresh start in the new world. He had once made the mistake of stealing a piece of iron from a crumbled fairy ring, a mistake that may have cost him dearly. Legend has it that the leprechaun followed him, not out of malice, but because something had been taken that should not have been disturbed. The blacksmith never spoke of what happened to him, but his homestead never seemed to flourish. His crops withered before the first frost, his livestock vanished without a trace, and one cold morning he was simply gone, leaving only his hammer and an eerie silence. As more settlers arrived in the valley, rumours of the little man of the hills began to spread. He was seen only in brief glimpses, darting behind trees, peering from under bridge planks, or standing silently in the misty mornings before disappearing like a dream. Those who claimed to have spotted him always said the same thing: he was watching. One such story came from a farmer named Elias McCormack in the early 1870s. He had been setting traps for coyotes along the river when he spotted something moving near the water's edge. Thinking it was a fox, he crept closer, only to find himself locking eyes with a tiny figure no taller than his knee. The leprechaun's expression was neither friendly nor hostile, just deeply, eerily knowing. Before Elias could so much as blink, the creature vanished, leaving behind only a single, perfectly round rock where he had stood. Elias ran back to town, breathless, claiming the leprechaun had tried to curse him. Over the years, the story grew into a full-blown tale of him escaping death by mere seconds, with the leprechaun supposedly hissing ancient words at him before leaping into the shadows. But those who knew Elias best often pointed out he was never quite the same after that day. He never farmed near the river again, and for the rest of his life, he carried the little round stone in his pocket, rubbing it absent-mindedly whenever he was alone. Though sightings dwindled over the years, strange occurrences always seemed to spike around St. Patrick's Day. Horses would be found untied from their posts, footprints too small for any man would appear in the dirt near the church. And on more than one occasion, settlers swore their whiskey barrels had been tampered with. Some believed the leprechaun had grown restless, waiting for something, perhaps a way back to the land he had been torn from. Others thought he was simply watching, ensuring no one else dared disturb the old magics buried beneath the valley's hills. It is said that if you walk through the misty valley on the morning of St. Patrick's Day, And listen carefully, you may hear a faint chuckle carried on the wind, or catch a fleeting shadow moving between the trees. And if you ever find a small, round stone resting in the dirt before your door, well, it may be best to leave it alone. Some stories are meant to remain untold,